So back when I was in college, I was doing a double major in management information systems, computer systems, and I was also doing entrepreneurship. And I was having a great semester. I had a lot of friends. I was going to tailgates, partying it up, living that whole college experience. I even got back from a trip to Tokyo. Everything was going great. Everything was going smooth until I got to my senior year. The very last semester of my senior year, my dad passed away. My dad was going through a lot of heart issues. He had a lot of heart problems. His heart collapsed and he had a heart attack. And that was one of the hardest times in my life. It was so difficult. I was going through so many classes. I was about to finish school, graduate, and I was excited to have my dad actually be there with me to see me graduate, walk the stage, and make him proud. One of the things that my dad always wanted me and my brothers to do was to go to school and just try our best, try to always, strive to be better. And that was one of the hardest times in my life. During that time, I was very depressed. I gained a lot of weight. And I didn't really know what to do with myself. I lost a lot of purpose and sense of clarity in myself. And I just lost a lot of confidence, man. It was a shitty ass period in my life. People pass away, you go through a breakup, unfortunate things happen. You go through some shitty times. But if you have a good mental plan and strategy to attack these certain situations, you'll be better off. And when I was going through that, I discovered the philosophy of Stoicism. I was just running a search on YouTube or Google, one of the two. And I was like, okay, what's a good philosophy to get over grief? And I was lucky enough to find Stoicism. And I started reading a little bit more about it, and I started learning about Marcus Aurelius. That's one of the biggest reasons why I got tatted on my arm. And also Epictetus and Seneca, those are the three main Stoic philosophers. And I started to get a better sense of how to deal with the issues that I was experiencing with my dad's passing. Stoicism is a great philosophy to live a good life. This is a philosophy that I constantly come back to every day. So what I'm gonna do in this video is we're gonna talk about Stoicism. We're gonna talk about what it is, why it's important, how it can help you. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's go. So, Stoicism is an ancient Greek school of philosophy that was founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium. The school taught that virtue, the highest good, is based on knowledge. The wise live in harmony with the divine reason, also identified with fate and providence. Stoicism teaches the development of self-control and fortitude as a means of overcoming destructive emotions. The philosophy holds that becoming a clear and unbiased thinker allows one to understand the universal reason, which is also called the logos. So, Stoicism is a philosophy that will teach you how to handle pressure. It will teach you how to overcome negative emotions, and it will also teach you how to effectively manage success. Alright, so there are many philosophers and key players that have influenced Stoicism, but the three most popular Stoic philosophers are Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. Let's start with Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor from 161 to 180, and he was a Stoic philosopher. He was the last of the rulers known as the Five Good Emperors and the last emperor of the Pax Romana, an age of relative peace and stability for the Roman Empire. He served as Roman consul in 140 and 145 and 161. Marcus Aurelius is considered, if not the best, one of the best emperors to ever rule the Roman Empire. He ruled Rome during a very difficult period. He had to fight many of the Germanic tribes that were trying to overcome Rome in the northern part of the empire. And he also wrote a very powerful biography known as the Meditations. And in the Meditations, he displays many of these Stoic philosophies. And he also channels his inner thoughts on how he was able to rule the empire by making wise and intelligent decisions based on the philosophy of Stoicism. Marcus really enjoyed wrestling when he was the emperor of Rome. He once said that the art of living is more like that of wrestling than of dancing, and that the main thing is to stand firm and be ready for an unseen attack. So one of the reasons why I really enjoy MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, all these combat sports is because I see a lot of correlations with the sport and with life.
And this is the same thing that can be said for this quote. And what Marcus is essentially pointing at is that life is very similar to wrestling, because you always have to be prepared. When you're grappling and you're going against someone, their whole objective is to bring you down, pin you to the floor, and submit you. And this is the same thing with the adversity that we face in life. If it's either with destructive negative emotions, or with other people, certain situations, events that happen in our lives, negative events, they're always going to try to pin you down and keep you on the floor if you let it. So how can we apply this to our own lives? In our own lives, when, let's say, you get into a relationship with a girl, you get yourself a girlfriend, and it doesn't work out. When you go into that relationship, you should always have in the back of your head that maybe it won't work out, maybe it will. That's why if the relationship were to go south, you guys were to break up or something were to happen, you're already prepared that would happen. It's not gonna get you by surprise. So in any situation, you always have to have like a backup plan, or just be ready to fend off an attack, just so you're mentally, spiritually, and physically prepared. It's all about preparation and being ready for whatever life throws at you. Alright, so the second OG of Stoicism is Seneca. He was also called Seneca the Younger, and he was a Stoic philosopher in Rome. He was a statesman, a dramatist, and in one work, a satirist from the Silver Age of Latin literature. Seneca was born in Cordoba, Hispania, and raised in Rome, where he trained in rhetoric and philosophy. Seneca is probably my favorite Stoic philosopher. He is known for many of his philosophical works and his plays, which are all tragedies. If you really analyze Seneca's writings, he's more like your average guy. Like he dealt with the same temptations of desire that any of us would. So he relates to many people in that individual level. And he was also able to become very wealthy. And what I really enjoy about Seneca is that even though he was very wealthy, he still had a sense of restraint. He didn't let it get to his head. He didn't let wealth get to his head. He was always still restrained, and he always knew how to manage his wealth and his emotions very effectively. He says, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And what Seneca is trying to say in this quote is that we often let our emotions, our imagination run loose, and we suffer a lot because of that. So, like for example, in our own personal life, back when I was in college, in one of my programming classes weren't the easiest for me. And I used to always think to myself, man, what if I failed this class? If I failed it at the end of the semester, I'm going to lose all my money from buying the class at the beginning of the semester, all that money and time that I spend into it. So in my own mind, I was already getting defeated, because I was already thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna probably fail this class. I'm gonna have to pay more money to take it next year. And then what ended up happening was that I ended up passing the class. I got a C in it, but you know what they say, C's get degrees. I haven't really even used that class anymore now that I'm out of school. But the main point there is that I was killing myself with these thoughts. My imagination was rolling loose that I was like the worst was gonna happen, and then I ended up graduating. So it's just like sometimes we often think the worst in many situations. We might think that if we go up to talk to a girl that we're gonna get rejected, but in some cases, man, like that's exactly what you need. You need to take that risk to talk to that girl, and then next thing you know, you got her number, you got her back at your place, and you're talking to her. Then maybe she becomes your girlfriend.
If you've been following my channel, you know that one of the things that I love to do is shadow box. And the reason why is because when you get your combinations, everything's running smooth, you're always prepared, you're just ready for anything. Shit pops off while you're traveling, you're at the club, you're with your girl, you're chilling, and some dude starts to disturb the peace. If you need to take action, you need to defend yourself, you know what to do. When it comes to shadow boxing, always just work your combinations. Work your 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2. Work your hooks, your jab, your cross. Work your knees, your elbows. Visualize that you have your training partner, just so you kind of have an idea, and don't be afraid to throw some good power into your shots. Like actually visualize you're punching somebody. So visualize that you're sparring somebody. That's why sparring is very important, because when you're sparring, you actually have that one-on-one connection to how it actually feels to fight somebody, how it actually feels to get punched and for you to throw a punch back. And that's what, guys, if you're not sparring, you need to start sparring. You need to start getting into a dojo and actually throwing some hands in there, throwing some throwing your jab, your cross, and knowing what the fuck to do, man. Girls love the fact that you can defend yourself, you can defend them. If you're ever a family man, you know what to do if a situation ever arises, you have to defend yourself.
Alright, so the last OG that we have here is Epictetus. And Epictetus was a Greek Stoic philosopher. He was born a slave. And that's what makes Epictetus very interesting, because he was actually a slave when he was born. His teachings were written down and published by his pupil Arrian in his discourses and in Cyrenian. So he was born in Turkey and he died in Greece. He was a huge influence on Marcus Aurelius, who later was to become the Roman emperor. No greater thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. So what essentially Epictetus is saying here is that just like anything in life, great things are going to take time. If you want to become a business owner, if you want to get shredded and build a strong body, if you want to go to school and graduate, whatever you want to accomplish, you have to know that it's going to take time and dedication to that goal. It's not going to come so quickly. You're going to have to put in the effort, but it will eventually ripen, and then you will be able to bear the fruit. So the Stoics love to use boxing and wrestling metaphors to relate to many of their philosophies. They refer to fighting because it's what they knew at that time. So there's a story about a boxer, and he was boxing and he got punched and he attempted to leave the ring. And Epictetus asked, what kind of boxer are you if you leave because you get hit? That's the nature of the sport. Is that going to stop you from continuing? In life, we're going to get hit by blows. We're going to get hit in the face, in the stomach. We're going to get hit by that liver shot. It's going to hurt. But what Epictetus is saying here is that what kind of fighter or boxer are you if you leave the ring? If just because of those situations, if you get hit, you just walk out. That just demonstrates weakness. If we see all of the boxing fights, any UFC, MMA fights, these guys, they stand toe to toe. As soon as they get hit, they come back with their own blow. So that's kind of the mentality that one must develop. A mentality that if I get hit, I'm gonna come back even harder. I'm gonna give you my best. We have to just keep fighting forward, keep moving forward, keep proving this adversity that's trying to keep you down wrong. Keep proving any of the doubters wrong, keep moving forward.
All right, so there you have it, guys. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to subscribe. I'll put it right here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We talk about philosophy, conquering our goals, strength training, MMA, personal finance, business, just a little bit about everything, when it comes to conquering the goals that we have as masculine men in this world. Stay strong and keep on conquering.